Yo, what's going on, boys? Trying here with another video, and honestly, I want to make this video because, truth be told, you're never really satisfied with anything you do, realistically. Okay, I've been trading now for a while. I've ran multiple, businesses. I've tried online businesses, and I've failed. And I am here to tell you that you will never feel satisfied. Honestly, deep down, you realistically don't feel satisfied about anything. Okay, and that's the truth that a lot of people don't realize, okay? Because I was in positions as well where I was like, if I can just get this one thing done, everything's gonna be okay. Or if I can just reach this goal, or if I can, make this amount of money in this month, it'll be okay. That's what we need to get to. And you get to that point, and you keep setting these goals in your head, and it's cool, It's great to have goals and all, but you get there and you genuinely think your life's gonna change for the better, and all this stuff's just gonna change because you set that goal in your head, and you get there and nothing changes. That's 100% honest with you guys. Nothing changes, okay? I used to think once, I hit certain things that everything would change, just like everyone else thought, right? And I set these goals, right? I was, when I started getting into trading, I was like, okay, I had to build an outside income source to be able to afford funded accounts and stuff like that. So I started a detailing company, right? And at first, it was like, yo, if I can just make a couple extra $100 a month, that's gonna cover all my cost, and that's gonna cover a bunch of other stuff. Okay, that's all I need to hit, right? That's all I need. And what happens? Well, you get there, cool. You get there, and it's like, okay, the next month, next couple months, it's like, all right, if I can just get $1,000 in that month, I can buy, these funded accounts. I can, pay for this, pay for that. That'll take care of any expenses I have, all that, like that. That's what we need to do. And the truth is, you get there and nothing changes, bro. Nothing changes. And I got there and it was like, cool, and you keep expanding. The biggest thing for us, and this is a co-owned company, right, was to hit, 10K revenue just for the company alone, to hit a 10K month, right? That was our goal. And you get there, and not only did we get there, we blew past it. We made over $14,000 that month. And you close out that month, you get a little good feeling. You're like, oh dang, like I accomplished that. And it's like, okay, what's next? I want a $15,000 month now. I want a $20,000 month now. Nothing changes, bro. I'm telling you guys, nothing changes. Nothing literally changes. You're always chasing for more. Okay? And that's the fire that God puts in a lot of people. Okay? And that's why, right? You don't get to a goal and it's just like, that's it, right? We have nothing else to accomplish anymore, and that's it. That's it, right? God keeps that fire in you so you actually keep going, right? And you don't get so much dopamine that you hit a tiny little goal and that's it. You just give up randomly, right? That's not realistic. And for a lot of you guys, a lot of people that watch my content trade. Okay? If you've had this trading image in your brain for a while, and you've been consistently trying, okay? God didn't put trading in this insane hard skill set in your mind or show it to you in your life via that was just on your phone, on YouTube. Maybe you saw this video, maybe you saw one of my videos, whatever. God will not put that into your life and make you think about it nonstop like I did. At least, I thought about it nonstop. He will not put such a hard skill set and obsess you over it if he knows that you can't figure it out and you can't do it. Okay? So understand that point, please, okay? Because a lot of people just don't think about stuff like that, okay? And I am here to tell you it is 100% real, okay? He will not put visions in your head. He will not show you things if he knows you can't do it, okay? He's only doing that because he's giving you a vision of where to go to. He's showing you, hey, if you put in the hard work, you can have all this, okay? You can do this. He will not ever put you through anything or give you anything that he knows you can't do. Okay, he's only going to put you through scenarios that are only going to make you better. Hence, that ties into my second point. Okay, first point is you're never going to feel satisfied with anything. Okay, let me go over that real quick. Trading. Right behind me, you see frames of past accounts. Okay, since I started trading, guys, at such a young age, at like 16 years old, that's all I could think about was, okay, if I can just get a past account. And back then, I believe I passed like a 10K before, and it was purely just off over risking and stuff like that. None of it was legit, is what I'm trying to get to. Okay, so I never really had an actual like past, big past account, like a 2-step verification, all that stuff where you have to make a good bit of percentage. You can't be over risking. There's tight rules, all that stuff. I've never had any of that. Okay, I've never had any of that, and that was massive, right? That's all I thought about. Okay, and it went in order, whereas it was like, cool, if I can just get, a profitable month. If I can just go break even month. That was the first thing. If I can just go break even, because every single month I was losing money. I was losing, and I was blowing money on evaluations every single month. And a big thing was like, if I can just go break even, I'm golden, because then I just got to fix up a few little things and I'll be profitable. Guess what happens? You get break even. Okay, cool. You close out your first break even month, you don't feel anything. It's like, okay, cool. Now what's next? Okay, we gotta figure out and tweak a couple things. Okay, so I tweak a couple things. So what happens? You close out your first profitable month. You're like, oh my gosh, I ended this month up, 2%, 2%. That's not much at all, but that's profitable because, a year ago I was losing money every single month. So you get to that stage, right? And then what's next after that? Next after that is, okay, if I can just close a couple months green, I'm good. Boom, you close a couple months green. And it still doesn't feel like enough. And why doesn't it feel like enough? Well, it doesn't feel like enough because, first of all, God will keep you hungry for more, okay? He's never gonna, again, if he gives you this vision that all of this is possible and all this stuff will work out, he's not just gonna give you a slice of the pie, I should say, and, pretty much eliminate all of your motivation, and it's just gonna be the end. That's not how it works, okay? He's gonna keep you driven, okay? And you gotta keep yourself driven as well. You gotta do your part, okay? But it's not gonna end, and it's never gonna feel like you've really done anything. That's the truth of it, okay? And what happens after you close a couple green months? Cool, it's like you self-reflect. You're like, okay, I'm doing something right. This is good. Closing green months, but it's just like, it doesn't feel like enough because, again, you see other people, and that's another thing is social media fries your brain of this. Is you'll see other people, and it's like, dang, he's doing better. I need to do better, right? So then you keep doing better as a person, but you never feel fulfilled. This behind me was dude, I cried my eyes out multiple times because I would blow money. I literally had like $5-10 in my bank account, just enough if I had to get gas in my car, and I swear to God on this too. The rest of the money was tied up in like assets and stuff like that, some investments, but within my actual bank account and the money I had, none of this was working out. I would cry my eyes out, sit here because I literally, my eyes were red because I was staring at the screen so long back testing, and this would not work out. It'd be Friday and Saturday nights, just like it is right now. Right now is a Friday night. Everyone else is out, bro, and I'm sitting here making YouTube videos. Nothing changed, bro. Nothing changes from last year when nothing was working out. I would still do the exact same thing I'm doing right now, which is still feel like I'm behind. I'm not doing enough. I'm telling you that feeling doesn't go away. You have to accept it, okay? Because, again, this was a major, major goal of mine. And I got there, bro. Step by step. And I got there. It was really, really nice in the moment because it was a really big goal. But guess what? 24 hours passed, bro. And you're just like, all right, cool. it's just whatever, I guess. On to the next thing. Now we need payouts. And it's like, I'm looking forward. I'm like, cool, like, yeah, I want those payouts. I know I'm going to get payouts because, again, doing your part and following your rules and trusting in God, I have 100% faith everything will work out. I'm not worried about that. Okay, I understand this is all on God's timing. If He wants me to fail and lose again, then that's fine by me. I'll run it again because I know He put this thought in my head, and I know He's given me the motivation to work on this stuff every single day because He knows this will work out in the long term. He sees the vision. That's why He put it in my head, right? So I'm not worried about that. And I think a lot of people need to understand that's the reasoning for a lot of stuff and understand it's on God's timing, okay? Because I can sit here and be like, okay, that next payout, okay, if I can, just get a payout from, Alpha Capital Group or my, prop firm, whatever it is, if I can just get a payout, that's it. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, that's not it. After you get a payout, what do? Well, probably reinvest that money to get more accounts. And then what's next? Get more payouts. And what do? Try to teach your students more. Like I have a Discord open where I hope people teach what I, found consistency within my trading with. And, teach them more and then work on them more. And then guess what? Once students starts getting payouts, what do? Just try to get more student payouts. And it's just a never-ending cycle. You're really never going to feel fulfilled, realistically. It's very nice sitting back here and looking back and reflecting. And it's like, yes, I do feel proud, and stuff like that. But I'm telling you guys, like, you're always going to feel like you're not doing enough, okay? Realistically, you're never going to feel like you're doing enough. And that ties back into, also looking at other people, right? Jealousy, I think they're just saying it's like jealousy is the thief of all joy. I'm pretty sure it's something like that, right? Something along those lines, and you get what I'm saying. But that's the thing. Like if you're constantly comparing yourself, people will look at me and be like, "Yo, like, you're 18, whatever. You have this going on. You have this business. You're making good money, this and that, and you're trading like consistently, or like all that stuff. Like you're doing good for your age, bro. Like, a lot of people, your age is in college and don't have any money right now, or whatever. You're doing good." And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I guess. But this guy over here, he's a year older than me, and he's way further ahead than I am. Or this guy's the same age as me, and he's way, further ahead than I am. Or this guy's younger than me, and he's way further ahead than I am. There's always going to be someone bigger, bro. Okay? That's another thing as well, is there always is going to be. You need to look at that as motivation, as if they're doing it, then it's possible. Okay? I'm pretty sure Drake, the rapper, said he rented out a yacht in Monaco. I'm pretty sure it's Monaco. He rented out the most expensive, biggest yacht. Okay? And, rented this out. Massive yacht, massive amounts of people on this yacht, and I'm pretty sure it's for a marketing campaign, if I remember correctly. And he gets this yacht, and he goes out in the water, and he sees this other boat that's about 3 times the size of his. Okay, 3 times the size of his. And with his yacht, he's got hundreds of people on it, right? He sees this yacht about 3 times size of his, okay? And guess what? There's not 100 people on it. There's a couple handful of guys, and they're Saudi Arabia people, and the boat's not rented, right? It had pretty much their names on it, and it was 3 times the size of Drake's that he rented for the weekend. And we think of Drake as people that are loaded. And even at Drake level, there's still levels to the game above him. And we look at Drake as, rapper absolutely loaded with money, right? And that just puts into perspective that no matter where you get to, there's always going to be levels. Okay, so understand that. I sit here and I'm not always satisfied with everything, right? Even though, I'm accomplishing things slowly that I keep saying I'm going to do, and I do it, and you get there and it's like a small hit of dopamine, and realistically it's nothing, bro. It's on to the next thing. It's on to the next thing. And there's always going to be someone that you're going to be comparing yourself to. Okay, you need to submit yourself to God. Submit yourself to the markets. Okay? Lock in, of course, do your part, but understand this is all going to happen on God's timing. When He sees it in you, He will let it happen. Okay? So the quicker you can just understand that all these visions in your head of all these things that, dang, if I can just do this, or I know I'm going to do this, it's just a matter of time. They will happen, bro. They're going to happen. Okay, but if you keep stressing about it and keep comparing yourself to other people, okay, that's going to cause you, first of all, to get stressed, hella stressed out, and 9 chances out of 10 make irrational decisions. Because you're trying to speed up the process that's not meant to be sped up. And we all know on trading, that's the worst possible thing you can do. We all know that. Being irrational and trying to speed things up with trading only leads to overtrading, which leads to blown account, which leads to square one. And God will keep testing you over and over and over again until you break that cycle. Why? Because He planted that vision in your head that all this is going to be possible, and He won't let you quit. That's why a lot of you guys, bro, do you know how insane it sounds for a person to look at candlesticks and blow money on evaluations over and over and over and over and over and over again and not get any money from it? Do you know how insane that sounds? How stupid that sounds? The only reason you're still going is because God won't let you fail, bro. Literally, it's impossible. If you do your part and God planted this vision in your head, bro, it's literally impossible. It's genuinely impossible. If you have faith in Him, though. You have to have faith, and you have to have full trust in Him that this is going to play out. And I've seen the faith play out over and over and over again to where it's just not even questionable anymore. It's genuinely not even questionable anymore. Okay, so you have to submit yourself. You have to submit yourself to the market, have to submit yourself to God, and understand that this is all going to happen on God's timing, and this will happen. It's just a matter of time. So you have to keep showing up, doing your part, of course, every single day. Like I said this in another YouTube video about the camel story, right? A guy was marching through the desert on a camel. I'll tell it one more time, very quickly. He's marching through the desert on a camel, right? And there was a tree. He decided to take a nap next to the tree, okay? He had a rope with him with this camel. He sat down at the bottom of this tree, prayed to God, please, Lord, make sure this camel doesn't leave. Make sure this camel doesn't leave. I pray that this camel does, just when I wake up, pray that it's still here, whatever. Keep in mind, he had the rope with him the entire time. He woke up, camel was gone, bro. Camel was gone. He didn't tie the fucking rope. He didn't do his part. If he would have did his part and prayed to God and had faith in God, then it would have been fine. It would have worked out. But he didn't do his part. Where am I trying to get with this? Do your part as well. When I say all this stuff's going to work out, it will if you're doing your part. And God sees you doing your part. Okay? Don't be the arrogant kid that sits here and does the same thing in the market every single day, knowing that it's not working, and not putting in the work at all, and just be like, oh, well, I know it's all going to work out because I see these motivational reels on TikTok, and I see these motivational videos on YouTube and this and that. I know it's going to work out, but I'm just not going to do my part. Bro, you're so egotistical. You're literally fucking asking to fail. You have to do your part. Do your part, and God will keep guiding you. And that brings me to my next point of God's not going to put you through anything that you can't handle, okay? Genuinely. He's not going to put you through anything that He knows you can't handle. Okay? So when I'm talking about this stuff about, never being satisfied, you're never going to feel satisfied. There's also going to be, and it's very weird because there's going to be situations where, again, with the whole, getting a funded account, bro, there was situations where it was like genuinely so hard, whereas I had to sit there and be like, I've spent 2 years doing this skill set and I've seen literally like not even a single profitable month. Okay? And taking that on the chin every single day when you blow hundreds a month on evaluations or even live accounts, it is so hard to deal with. Okay? But God is only going to put you in that situation if He knows you can handle it. And why does He put you in that situation? He puts you in that situation to teach you lessons. If I didn't go through any of those hardships, I wouldn't have learned any of the lessons. And I wouldn't know what it's like to be on that other side. Yes, I found consistency now. I'm fully confident that I found consistency. But I know what it's like on that opposite side. And why did God put me through that? Why did He make it so hard? And why did He give me inconsistency? Well, because He did that so then I can have the lessons on what not to do, so then I can help other people and I can give them my experience that God put me through and be like, yo, I don't think you should trade this way. I don't think you should do it this way because I did that and that didn't work for me. And He's going to do the exact same thing with you guys, bro. You're going through something hard right now. You can't find consistency, or, you're maybe running a business and you're seeing nothing coming from it right now. Bro, he's putting you through this to mold you, bro, to shape you and to give you lessons. Okay, if you're running a business right now, maybe nothing's converting, nothing's working, bro. He's putting you through this hardship, okay? So then you can come out on top and look back and be thankful, right? But also learn what you're going through right now. Maybe you're running ads or something for a company and it's not working. Well, now you got that lesson not to run those ads or not do it that way. Or not, spend this much on ads or not target this type of audience. You're bro, it's all lessons. It's all lessons. And the quicker you guys can realize that all of this stuff realistically doesn't matter in the end if you have full faith in God and you're doing your part, because it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out, bro. It's literally all going to work out. It's just a matter of time. Submit yourself to the markets and submit yourself to God. Realize I'm not going to do any of this dumb shit anymore, okay? And, surrender yourself, bro. Let the things play out, okay? Because realistically, one situation, one side of things, you're going through situations that you won't think you will ever come out of, okay? You will never think you'll come out of. And you're like, gosh, this can't get any worse, and it feels so stuck in one situation. And on the other side, you come out of it, okay? And you come out of it. And, you finally hit your goals. You finally hit your things that you had in mind. And you hit that and you don't really feel anything, okay? And it's like, the struggle feels a lot worse than it actually is when you go and look back at it. And you, in that mind, you think, the reward's going to be so big. But when you get to the reward's a lot smaller than you actually think. Okay, so a lot of people have the wrong perception on things. And a lot of it stems down to, honestly, because trading is so hard as a skill set as well, for sure, 100%. But I'm telling you, when you're going through a situation, you think, gosh, this is so hard, I'm not going to get through this. And again, you get through it and you actually hit your goals and you look back and you're like, dang, looking back, I'm glad I went through that situation. Have you ever asked anyone, or think back in your life, any hard situation you went through? okay? And it was for your own benefit, obviously, whether that was working towards something, whatever. Looking back on it, do you really regret that you went through that situation? Think about it. Do you really regret that you went through that situation? Because if you didn't go through that situation, I bet that you wouldn't be as good as a person as you are right now, or you wouldn't have as much skill in a certain skill set as you have right now. For example, trading, because a lot of people that watch my YouTube videos are doing trading, right? You're probably thinking back to a super hard time in your life, and you're probably thinking back like, dang, okay, that one time, like last year, like I dropped $1,000 on evals, couldn't figure any of this out, whatever. Sitting here now, you're probably looking back at that and you're like, okay, I'm glad I went through that, because yeah, it sucked in the moment, but looking back on it now, I've gained so much experience from that. I've learned not to over risk. I learned not to over leverage. I learned, not to trade this certain way, or I learned not to over trade. You gotta, trust in God's timing and go through the lessons that God wants you to go through to learn the lessons. I'm still going through lessons, bro. Like, there's no end to this story. There's no end. Everyone just continuously goes through lessons, and we get taught as God's children. And He won't put you through that and give you these visions if He knows you can't handle it, bro, and you can't come out on the other side of it. Okay? So I'm starting to realize you can't chase a feeling, okay? Because it doesn't last, realistically. You think that feeling of passing an account, or you think that feeling of hitting a 10K month, or hitting a 5K month, or even hitting $1,000 month, you chase that feeling, but realistically it doesn't last, bro. You get there and you're like, cool, what's next? And you're always on this chase. You take it from me, bro. You will always be on a chase, okay? So just submit yourself to the market and God. I keep saying that over and over again, but that's the only thing you can do. Understand that this is going to be a lifelong journey, bro. So enjoy it all. Enjoy, the rough times you go through. Bro, when I literally was going through that stuff, I wasn't affected as much as I probably should have been, because I was like, yo, I know this stuff's going to work out. Let me take in every single lesson that God's trying to give me right now. For example, I had, not the best mentor, right? And I was seeing inconsistency. Yes, I was going through a horrible time because nothing was working out. But I was like, wait a second, God's putting me through this. What can I learn right now? Well, I learned, what mentors not to listen to. I learned how not to trade a strategy because it didn't work. So then looking back on it, as hard as that time was, looking back on it, I'm like, I am so thankful that God put me through that, because if He didn't, then I would still be unprofitable, because I wouldn't know how to actually trade, and I wouldn't know, who the right person was to get information from, because I went through bad mentors. Okay? Please understand that, bro. Take it from me. I've been through it all, and I'm still going through more and more, and I will continue to do that. Again, you can't chase the feeling, because everything becomes a new normal, realistically. Everything will become a new baseline as you continue to, keep going up in your life. And that's why it's important to reflect and realize that, hey, you actually made progress, because you are going to be making progress, and that's what's going to keep you motivated to do your part and keep following God's path. You have to self-reflect, okay? You have to self-reflect, for sure. But understand that I think a lot of people have it in their mind of like, if I can just do this or get to here, that's pretty much going to solve all my life issues. And the truth is, it's not, bro. It is not. It's literally not. There's always going to be a new normal, and it's always going to be a new baseline. And for other people looking in, they might look at you and be like, dang, he has consistency in his trading. I wish, I had consistency. But I'm looking at someone else, raking in $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 a month in trading, and I'm like, dang, I'm not doing that yet. There's always going to be levels, okay? So, understand that again, and understand everything's going to have a new baseline. Everything's going to have a new normal, I should say. So, instead of, getting there And, once you get there thinking, oh, I'm good now, I can just chill out. Like, I'm chilling, right? It's more like you just have to understand that this is all a long process. It's all a long process, and it's completely tied to faith. It's completely tied to faith in God. Because a lot of people, again, have that in their mind of like, if I can just achieve this, that's it. And it's just not the truth, bro. It's not the truth. This is a long journey, okay? This is a very long journey. And you guys are just, I'm telling you, you're never going to get fulfilled, and you have to submit. You have to submit yourself to the market of God, okay? Because it's a long journey. You're going to accomplish one thing, and you're going to be like, you're going to feel great in the moment, okay? You're going to feel great in the moment, and you're going to look back and be like, damn, okay, so like, what's next? And then you're going to go to the next thing, and then it's not going to stop, bro. It's not going to stop. If I could tell you guys all the times that I've sat here and I was like, if I could just do this, or if I could just do this, bro, I was sitting back in high school, like, thinking, man, I get out of high school, and if I was, if I was learning trading and making money on the side while I was learning trading, like, oh my gosh, my life would just be complete, and it'd be like so easy. Bro, you get there and it's nothing, bro. It's literally nothing. Again, I told you guys with other businesses I have, the whole 10K a month thing blew that literally out of the water, and it feels like nothing. It's cool in the moment, okay? Boom, cool. It's like, oh dang, like we hit it, like let's go, that's cool. 24 hours pass again. Well, what's the next thing? Keep going and keep going. Gotta be thankful for the process as well. That's another thing. Gotta be thankful for the process. Understand it's a long process, and you have to have faith, because if you don't have faith, you're gonna get lost on this. Realistically, you're gonna get lost, and you're gonna be like, why, when I accomplish something or do something, it feels like I've done nothing? Why doesn't it feel good at all? And you're gonna get caught up, and you're gonna get lost, and all that stuff. And if you don't have faith, then you're not gonna be working as hard as you realistically should, and you're not gonna have hope that any of this is gonna work out, this and that. You have to have faith, bro. So that's pretty much all I want to make this video for, is trust whatever you're going through right now, okay? I'm gonna continuously go through stuff. You're gonna continuously go through stuff. The people that I learn from and stuff like that is gonna consistently go through stuff. Everyone's different on their journey right now, bro. Everyone's at different time periods, okay? But at the end of the day, we're all God's children, and He all implanted this into our head for a reason. To make this work, to teach others, okay? Better others' lives, make them money, right? Free up their time so then they can go enjoy what, God has put on this earth, and go enjoy, your time here. He put all this in your head because He knows you can handle it, bro. He knows you can handle it, bro. He's not going to do that if, He's not just going to do that and destroy your entire life and just make you keep on blowing evals for the rest of your life, and it's just never going to work out. A key point to that is you have to do your part as well, though. Understand that. He's not going to put it in your head if you can't handle it, but you also have to do your part. Like I said, tie the fucking camel, bro. Do your part. Tie the camel. Okay? So, just keep having faith, and that's pretty much all I want to make this video for, okay? Keep having faith in everything. And again, understand that you're just realistically never going to get really too much fulfilled with a lot of things. There's always going to be constant new levels to stuff, and you're always going to be leveling up, and you're realistically never going to feel like you truly made it. There's none of that. It's just it's levels to after levels. Every level is the new normal, and it's just continuously rising from there. So you have to see that this is a very, very, very long vision that you have, and realize this is a lifetime of things. So enjoy the moment you're in right now, and enjoy the learning process and all that, bro. Okay? You're never realistically going to be satisfied unless you start enjoying the journey, because it's going to be goal after goal, and you're just realistically never going to be satisfied. So submit yourself to the markets. If you're learning, submit yourself to God, submit yourself to faith, and that's honestly the only way that you're truly going to see an actual positive vision in this, and a reason to keep going realistically. So that's pretty much it for this one, boys. Catch you guys in the next one.